Prashanth Bhushan on thriving democracy in India. The third term for Narendra Modi continues to reel under communal atmosphere in the country. It was clearly demonstrated in the recently concluded Loksabha elections. Masses have upheld democracy by strengthening strong opposition. In light of the recently held Lok Sabha elections in the country, there was a symposium on the subject topic of Forum for Democracy and Communal Amity at the BIFT auditorium on Queen's Road in Dar es Salaam in the city. On the occasion, noted advocate and politician Prashanth Bhushan, retired High Court Justice Nagmohan Das, Core Committee Yedyellu Karnataka, Tara Rao and Director of Acura Hospital in Koramangala Dr Taha Mateen presented their views and opinion onto the subject. As the chief guest, Prashanth Bhushan said, for the first time the electorate have made a statement through a decisive ballot without floating onto the sentimental and communal lines and reeling on the core issue faced by the commoner. If this had not occurred, the country would have had a tough opposition now. Despite government having large number of seats, it is a weak government at the center today. The ruling party continues to misuse its power through wrongful use of agencies in its control. Politics of hate continue to flourish under BJP, which is creating rift between the politics of hate under BJP and the commoners everywhere. He further said that media chanting Modi mantra, trying to do corrective measures on them with a changed outlook now. Prashanth Bhushan emphasized that in order to raise voice against communalism, there is a need to raise voice for communal amity across the country, and there is also a need to provide counseling in order to promote amity among the masses.
To do in order to improve things in this country. So in order to understand the verdict of 2024 Lok Sabha, we first need to look at the context. I wanted to ask, would the majority of the people want me to speak in English or in Hindi? Unfortunately, I cannot speak Kannada. So, English. All right. So, we need to understand the context in which this election took place. So we need to see what was really happening in this country in the last 5 or 10 years. And what was really happening was that there was a brutal assault on every value that is enunciated in our constitution, in our democracy. There was an assault on fundamental rights, all fundamental rights, including the right to liberty, the right to speech, the right to equality. Large numbers of people across the country were arrested and put in jails, usually on false charges, such as some of our finest human rights activists were jailed, and many of them are still languishing in jail. In the Bhima Koregaon case, in the Delhi riots cases, and on various charges of sedition or under the unlawful, these various draconian laws like the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act or the Prevention of Money Laundering Act or the National Security Act, etc. There was an assault on speech, and the assault took two forms. One was the strangulation of the mainstream media and the control of the mainstream media, and it was made an instrument of propaganda and hate by the ruling party, by the BJP. And the other
was really for our constitution, a vote that feared us losing our constitution. I don't believe this constitution is a book or a document. It is more a constantly live narration of how our lives ought to be. The power that narration holds is what I believe drove people to their polling stations. The Constitution is our source of hope and aspirations as a people. And now we have been witness to how we can transform ourselves from mere spectators to active citizens to safeguard our constitution and our democracy. And that possibility and that power of the vote has brought our role, we the people, front and center. There is no going back and sitting in the wings or on the sidelines. That time is over. This democracy cannot run without its people in this challenging hour, especially in this challenging hour. This role involves us recasting our relationship with the government, its governance and accountability, and not to be fearful of its governance and accountability. With the opposition holding this government accountable, and with the straying democratic institutions that have been already discussed so well before me, that have strayed so far that they are front and center in undoing.
Our chief guest, Mr. Prashanth Bhushan, my co-speaker, Mrs. Dara Rao, our Secretary of the Forum for Democracy and Communal Amity, Mr. Feroz Pasha Saab, and very distinguished members of the civil society. Good morning to you all. Assalamu alaikum. After a stalwart like Prashanth Bhushan ji has spoken, it's really awkward to be put on the pedestal. I won't take too much time and speak a few words on this important topic of the mandate of 2024 and what its interpretation is, what it means, and what the way forward for civil society is in the coming days. I mean, the first thing that came out once the election results came is the Aam Aadmi, the Janata is very smart in this country. Forget it. I mean, it's not the YouTubers, it's not the what the whole hullabaloo is all about, but it is the democratic voice of the common man, which is amazing. So there is a lot of faith in the common man in this country, and there is great hope for this. There was lots of disillusionment that's gotten a little more hopeful for a lot of people. This battle was really a battle of ideas. The very original of idea of India, a democratic India versus a very authoritarian, autocratic, single leader India. I mean, this is the question that the mandate answered. A question whether you want Godse's India or you want Gandhiji's India. Which one would you want to choose? It was a question of whether our valued constitutional ideals of liberty, equality, fraternity, is this what we choose? Or do we choose